She was a lovely lady, and she was an actress in her younger life. And here's a picture of her. And her stage name was Louie Lavender. And I was very, very fond of her, and she was wonderful.
Her real name was Louie Williams. Brought up, her parents emigrated to the States during the gold rush, and she was brought up in or near Deadwood City, and in Dakota, and brought up by Dakota Sioux. And she actually lived in a teepee, but came back at some stage later, and she was the sister of the chap I mentioned just now, Jack Williams, who had a son Jack Williams, who had a son Jack Williams, and also the sister of Mrs. Leonard.
And her father went out as looking for gold, a gold miner, and she was actually born out there, and they came back when she was christened, and they had her christened over here, and they went back again to look for more gold, which I believe he found, although none of it was ever spoken of really, but he did find one huge gold nugget that I've seen, and he had a gold ring made out of it. And she's also got a picture when she was a baby, sat on Chief Sitting Bull's lap. I've seen it. Where it's gone now, I don't know.
Louie was a real character. Come in, you bugger, she used to say, you know. Talk to me about your father and your family. I knew him since they were all that high, you know. Very dramatic, very theatrical.
She lived behind, I don't think she ever went upstairs, because she used to sleep on the settee, and there was like a scullery and a huge open fire that was always boiling, and when you sat next to it, your legs used to go bright red. And she used to keep, if the boys wanted cigarettes and they didn't want their parents to know, she used to keep the half-empty packets on the shelf, and they used to buy bottles of pop, and they used to have a swig at the pop and leave them there so that they'd collect them when they came back from playing or whatever.
She always had this magnificent head of black hair, and if you were really good and talked to her nicely, she'd dress up in her Indian outfit, which was one band and one feather, and white buckskin, as I remember. It faded a bit, but beautiful patterns on it and embroidery. And she had a silver inlaid repeater Winchester rifle.
And she fell once, and she caught her arm in the brass fender around the fire, and Jimmy Neville found her, and she was basically bleeding to death. So they managed to get an ambulance, and they rushed her into hospital, and they sewed her up while she was still awake, and she didn't even make a sound. So I said, that's how tough they used to breed them then.
And never had electricity. She always had an oil lamp in the back. You could see it through she had these sort of drop curtains. You could that kind of thing you use for keeping flies out. They were made of beads, and she slept on the sofa, never went to bed. It was magnificent because she had all this sort of Art Deco shop equipment, you know, with Fry's chocolate, Cadbury's chocolate, and she'd break down packets of cigarettes because we were all smoking and we shouldn't have been smoking, you know, and she'd make up a little packet of 5 for you and put it in a sweet wrap, a sweet bag. This is great. And but I remember we went off to play in a band competition in London, so she turned out in this huge Victorian hat with ostrich feathers and right down to the floor, you know, and a magnificent outfit. It must have cost a fortune. And just to see us off, you know. Bring out the prize, you buggers!